All right, many of you enjoyed seeing my guilty pleasure list. We're here to talk more guilty pleasure reading from science fiction and fantasy today because Zach's got something to say.
It's my turn. This is Fantasy for the Ages, where father and son sit down and talk about things. In this case, my guilty pleasures in these books. I'm Zach the son. That's why I'm having pleasures of guilty varieties. Let's not get into
Wait,
kind of
that almost was more than I want to hear. Whoa. But seriously, I did an episode recently talking about guilty pleasures. It's fine for people to have books that are their guilty pleasures. You can't explain why you like them. You can't really justify. In fact, you can point out reasons why they're not good books, but you like them anyways. And it's your turn, Zach. What kinds of books rise to that for you?
I put a number of things on this list that are either things I've read recently or things I read when I was young that for one reason or another, generally, I would be embarrassed actually talking about these in a public space. So welcome to this public space where I'm going to talk about these.
How many of your coworkers watch our channel?
Some. But weirdly enough, not that embarrassed to talk about it with them. I don't know why. Anyways, getting the easy stuff out of the way, we're going to the classic idea of a guilty pleasure kind of thing. Because I am a sucker for a guilty pleasure TV show, things that are aimed at like a teenage girl theoretically as a show that have supernatural elements. Think The Vampire Diaries. Loved it. Great.
Never watched it.
So in that vein, we're just going to knock out the entire genre of romantasy as a guilty pleasure for me. I'm going to list a couple of things I've read recently, including the ACOTAR stuff by Sarah J. Maas. You can see underneath my dad's Zodiac Academy. I'm reading that by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. These are things that I'm not going to them expecting a super deep, rich story or world building. I'm excited if I get some of that. But I know exactly why I'm reading it, and I'm enjoying it for that.
Okay, so your first guilty pleasure is just the category of romantasy? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, those books in general, the ones I mentioned are good examples, but yeah.
I keep seeing you dip into this. Yeah, I'm like, he's there for
it.
He's all right.
My next one is where we get a little bit contentious of me going, yeah, no, I will quietly say that I enjoyed this book. Night Angel Nemesis is one of my guilty pleasures.
Interesting.
Because I loved Night Angel, the trilogy. I still enjoy diving into this world and these characters, and I can admit that it is not as good. I can fully accept that people don't like this book or think it's bloated or whatever. I still really had a fun time escaping back into the world and the characters and enjoyed the book. Night Angel Nemesis is one of my guilty pleasures there.
There you go. It definitely makes the list.
We're going to jump to things that are a bit younger now for me.
Like when you were younger? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is a guilty pleasure because I don't necessarily love admitting that I will still go back and read some of these when I want a break.
But guilty pleasures, they suck you in like that. Yeah, okay.
They're great, and I will defend them as an adult, but I don't always want to say, yeah, and I needed a break from this dark, gritty stuff and went and read one of these. So anything by Rick Riordan, great. Percy Jackson, keep going further in and among the demigods, Camp Half-Blood, all that jazz, but even going over to the Kane Chronicles or the Magnus Chase stuff, it's written for a 4th to 6th grader. I'm aware of that. Let me live my best life.
Yes, and you can do that. Yes.
But if we are talking about things I read as a kid, we also have to talk about the things that I won't defend nowadays because I'm embarrassed that I liked them, even though they're some of the first experiences of really big, unique world building, if I think about it.
But would you like reading them again?
No. Well,
I don't know if it's really a guilty pleasure.
Here's the thing. I have reread them.
I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
Like 20 of them on your shelf.
I know. I do.
These
Go
are the
ahead.
Warriors books, the cat things, which
The cat
they're
things.
great escapism. I don't like saying that I read them because usually you get a couple of different reactions, and most people who kind of read sci-fi fantasy that I've run into, if I talk about having read these, either they did too as a kid and they enjoyed them, or they're looking at me wondering if I'm a furry. The answer is no, I'm not.
You were really into those back in the day, just
Yeah,
churning through book after book after book.
I
That's why
still
we have
have
so many.
saved in an email chain somewhere a fanfic that I was co-authoring with someone in like middle school.
You know, you should get those books, like take them and have them someday, because
I
one day
was
when you
gonna
have
sell them
children,
at one point. I was going to sell them. You still have them because mom went, I might teach third grade again someday.
she's never
That
teaching
is
third
the
grade again.
only reason they still exist in one of our houses, because I was going to sell them when we were moving from Alaska. Other side of things, something that I want to give a little bit of light here too, because I've considered buying these books again. It's the first series that I gave to someone else. But again, I admit, it's not great. It has its problems. The Pendragon series, 10-book series, YA, but it is sci-fi, fantasy, jumping around to different worlds, portals, and things, but also a little bit of hidden world stuff. And I thought it was really interesting, and I kind of want to do a reread and see if it still holds up to me.
What are the issues? What do people have a problem with Pendragon for?
You find it in that section when you go to Barnes and Noble, and you have to walk into a separate section because this is technically the kids/YA section. I
So it's
wouldn't
just
recommend this to an adult.
it's just
A
too
lot of
young now, is
a
what you're
lot of
saying?
my guilty pleasures are things where I'm like, someone looks at me and goes, "Why is an adult man reading that?"
Okay. Okay.
I feel very judged if I'm reading it.
Hey, any of us who read fantasy get judged. Oh, when are you gonna read like real fiction?
You're right. Last thing I want to talk about as a guilty pleasure of mine is really something that I haven't talked about a whole lot. I only recently talked about reading like various manga sometimes and things, but I have religiously read this every week as it's come out with hiatus for like 3 years.
Wow.
It's a webcomic called Unordinary.
Okay.
I think it's got great characters and development and things. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it a webcomic? Yes. Is it in kind of a anime-ish style? Also, yes. All things that in a lot of spaces I wouldn't want to confess to reading this, or like have someone look over my shoulder and be like, what are you doing? But I stand by it. It's great.
Okay. So that's your last guilty pleasure?
That's the last of the things I'm going to talk about here today. If I think of anything that is something I should be even guiltier about, we may have to save that for a day when I'm feeling a little braver.
Okay. Well, there you go, everybody. You get a little view inside the mind of my son. And I don't think those sounded so bad.
No, I think it might be a red flag that the grimdark stuff I don't consider something I should feel bad about, but the YA stuff is.
Okay, perhaps.
That's potentially concerning to myself.
I might suggest you don't go spending a lot of time in the kids section at the bookstore, but use online.
It is kind of a weird thing for an adult man to go walk into the kids section of a bookstore and look around without any kids present.
Yes. Bring Rach with you. It's
That
fine for
that
a woman
helps.
to do that, seemingly.
Or a couple.
Right.
It
That's
gives
right.
a
If you're
different,
with her,
yeah,
see, it's all good.
it gives different optics.
Different vibes. Yep. All right. Well, keep on reading what you love. Don't try to justify, and it's all good. That's all we have for you today, then. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you next time.